I did not watch Senator Itagiwa's interview, a woman that I actually respect.
Yes.
But with what you have said now, I am quite disappointed at some of the measures that you've just reeled out. I'd like for you to just no, you can't give me advice. Just reel out what
I'm giving you suggestions on how to avoid sexual harassment.
How can you
be more confident?
Wait, was that what?
That's what she said. Because I asked her, because I said that was a revelation, because she needed to teach us a lot more about how not to be sexually harassed. And one of the things was that you have to be more confident.
You have to be more confident.
Yes, as a woman.
Wow.
So it's lack of confidence if you're sexually harassed. Number 2 is that you also have to be unapproachable.
Okay.
If you are too approachable, men will, and that's on you. And then, of course, it's weakness to come on air and come and talk about episodes, especially at a certain level. I don't know about you, but personally, I don't think a woman ever grows out of it, whereby men or women. We keep focusing on women, but when it comes to discrimination, it happens both ways. It's just that women face it a bit more, especially in this part of the world that we are. And the danger with narratives like that, like I was sharing off, behind the scenes, is that whenever a case like this is brought up, the first thing that usually comes up is, what did the woman do? We must kill that narrative in Nigeria, because that is what perpetuates this a lot, because it's always that a woman must have done something to attract that kind of attention or attract that kind of discrimination. Yes. I think it's very sad if we continue that narrative, because we'll continue to absolve the people who ought to take responsibility for their actions.
All right, I was going to start the show in Lagos, but because we're talking about this issue, and we're seeing that it's women that are coming out to trivialize sexual harassment, because this is exactly what it means. If you are sexually harassed, please, it is no woman's fault. You cannot be blamed for being sexually harassed. I mean, you look beautiful, you're sexually harassed. You did not create yourself. And it's not lack of confidence that causes sexual harassment. It is a thing out there, and it is unfair and unfortunate that at this time in our system, society, where 2025, we're talking about women not being able to come out and talk about sexual harassment. Well, I'd like to take the story in Kenya so that we can discuss everything together. Good morning to you, viewers. Well, in the wake of the feud between Senate President Godswill Akpabio and the senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, over allegations of sexual harassment, the role of young women in politics and gender disparity in African politics has now become a topic of debate. Well, a 2024 video showing Kenyan legislator Mile Odhiambo, who has established herself as one of the country's most outspoken politicians, advising young women to be as fiery as she is, has resurfaced online. Well, let's take a look at that video before we come back for a discussion.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to start by saying that one of my favorite books is Good Girls Never Get the Corner Office. Mr. Speaker, this is in response to what you were telling me earlier in the morning, when you are urging me to be a good example to the girls, the younger ones who are doing their first term. Mr. Speaker, if they are good girls, they'll never get corner office. Be as bad as Millie Odhiambo, you will be the mother of this house. I am a bad girl, and as a bad girl, I'm here serving my 4th term. So do not be cheated like the African culture, where you are told have decorum, dress nicely, be kind, be nice. I'm telling you, you will go nowhere. Be a bad girl like me, and you'll get somewhere.
Well, I don't think she means literally be a bad girl. I mean, but basically, that, she said, was her favorite book. Yeah. Good girls don't get the corner office, meaning you have to stand your ground as a woman. A quick comment from you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you have to stand your ground. I think what the speaker there was talking about is about being tough, not being bad in reality.
Yes,
I think for every situation of harassment, oppression, or discrimination, we should be able to truly condemn what is bad. What is bad is anybody in this world, either because of gender, either because of race, religion, or ethnicity, is trying to discriminate or oppress somebody else, is a bad thing. Absolutely. I think men who rape, I think men who use their power, who try to use their money, not to seduce or lure, but to extort and constrain other people, are weak men. Absolutely. I call them boys who did not do boyhood when they were boys. They fall into money and power at an age in their life, and they've never charmed women. They've never persuaded, they've never convinced people with their wit, with their oratory, with their knowledge, or with their physique. They've not done sports. They were not clapped to have young people. So when they get to a stage in their life, when they have power and money, they think they can buy people. But it is also important for us, however, to share the responsibility around. I stand with women of substance. I stand with women who are who they are, what they are, because of what they can bring to the table. I have seen many times in my life where some women use the feminine card to get what they do not deserve to the detriment of other women. And I think anytime we talk about serious things like sexual harassment, it is important not to simplify.
Absolutely.
It is important to go for the facts, followed by logic, and allow for space of dissident voices and allow for space of misunderstanding, misinterpretation, and mischief. It is important that we understand that if you are for the truth, you will know the truth is always nuanced.
Absolutely. Basically, it's about standing your ground as a woman in Africa. In politics, I mean, in Kenya, we are seeing more representation of women in politics. And this is what we're advocating for here on the show. Rufai, a quick comment from you.
You see, I'm not surprised that a lot of women are coming to pull down, this movement to be able to amplify when you're sexually harassed. Who will men use against women before? It is fellow women that men will use. So I'm not surprised. Because the hegemony of society has always been wrapped around men. It is a man's world. Songs like that and everything. So also, in part of that mentality, a lot of women have been indoctrinated with the mentality of subservience to men. So they will spew narratives like, if a man makes a pass at you, you cost it. It's a deliberate societal attempt. And it is women that will enunciate this. And especially, some women will feel upset when they see another woman standing up for herself. Because the truth is, in a society that is male-dominated, for you as a woman to understand the preservation of self, it's a difficult thing. You are constantly told that you are not successful unless you end up in a man's house.
Unfortunately.
Society gives you everything. You go to church, once you are over 30, they are saying pray for husband.
Right.
A man is beating you in a relationship, they are saying for better, for worse. But the men can have multiple partners. So I'm not surprised. It's part of the indoctrination of society. And that's why people will say that, oh, it's you that you cannot handle it properly.
Unfortunately.
Not trying to address the issue of a randy man that cannot keep his thing in his thing.
His thing in his thing. All right,
so
Rufai,
the truth has to be said, Oji. I am not surprised. It is the way society has evolved. But for those that do that, they should not forget that historically, Africa has always had stronger women in society. There are generations, there are African races that the likes of Ablapoku led.
All right.
So we must be able to magnify that Africa originally was not a misogynistic society. Amina of Zaria.
Queen Amina of Zaria, she's one of the women I respect,
they held positions.
Yes.
So the attempt of women to support the misogyny against women now is a problematic streak of mentality we must change. And that's why we should be weary of people that are now preaching this macho mentality. People like Andrew Tate online, because there's a resurgence of people like that and they're subjugating women.
All right. Well said, you all. Thank you very much for your submissions. And again, we need more women in politics, especially here in Africa. Again, sexual harassment is not a woman's fault.
Kai Rufai Oseni just finished Akpabio. Like, he took Akpabio to the cleaners, took all these women who are being bought over by Akpabio to come and do image building.